honest, I've been struggling to figure out what kind of sermon I want to work on today. Because there's a lot that I think we could talk about and a lot we can talk about. And I think that I'm going to jump all over the place because everything's connected in its own way. So I've been spending a lot of time in Proverbs lately, looking for some wisdom on how to move forward with my life and how to deal with all the struggles. But I'm going to start off in Proverbs 5, and I'll be reading from the Message.
Proverbs 5.
I'll start on 1. Dear friend, pay close attention to this, my wisdom. Listen very closely to the way I see it. Then you'll acquire a taste of good sense. What I tell you will keep you out of trouble. The lips of a seductive woman are oh so sweet. Her words are oh so smooth. But it won't be long before she's gravel in your mouth, a pain in your gut, a wound in your heart. She's dancing around the promised primrose path to death. She's headed straight for hell and taking you with her. She hasn't a clue about real life, about who she is or where she's going. So my friend, listen closely and don't treat my words casually. Keep your distance from such a woman. Absolutely stay out of her neighborhood. You don't want to squander your wonderful life to waste your precious life among the hard-hearted. Why should you allow strangers to take advantage of you? Why be exploited by those who care nothing for you? You do not want to end your life full of regrets, nothing but sin and bones, saying, oh, why didn't I do what they told me? Why did I reject a disciplined life? Why didn't I listen to my mentors or take my teachers seriously? My life is ruined. I haven't blessed one thing to show for my life. And on that note, I believe that it's not just the woman or the man that we're lusting after, it's the life that we envision. A lot of people spend their time thinking that the life that they're living is the right one. The things that they're doing, living in the world, you know, you work hard and you be a good person and you'll get to heaven, but that's not true. The only way we get to heaven is through Jesus, but it's easy to get distracted, you know. You're driving down the righteous path, doing the right thing, you know, you're not being sloth, you're going to work every day and then, whoops, squirrel, you know. Something shiny. For some of us it's a guitar, for some of us it's a pretty woman, for some of us it's, you know, it'd be anything. Whatever we let fill our hearts and take over our mind, and whatever takes our time and our eyes off of God. So there's a lot of wisdom in those verses saying we got to watch out very closely with whatever we say, what we do, where we go, because all of our actions add up to what's in our hearts. So someone who is of solid mind isn't going to go to the bar and party and do drugs and have that kind of time. You know where that road leads. It leads to destruction. We all know that addiction is a hard thing to pass, and there's a reason for that. Because they don't have God in their lives, and they think that that feeling that they get when they're high or when they're with friends is a good feeling. They think it's good. But it's not a good feeling. It's miserable. because you're separating yourself from God, you're separating yourself from all the things that you could become, and you're stepping out of the blessings of God that you could have. Because God will always give you more than you will ever think you deserve. And my life is a perfect testimony for that. There was a point in time before I had known God the way that I do now. I used to live for just things and think, if I go to work and I support my girlfriend and I take care of my kid and I'm gonna be all right. I don't need to go to church. I don't need all that. But I didn't realize what I was missing out on. There's so many things that I have now, such as the peace of God, the rest that I have in God, the people that I have to support me that I never thought I would have. And that's because I turned my back on the things that drug me away from God, such as drinking and partying and going out and having a good time. And it says plainly right there, that stuff's no good. It's just going to lead to destruction. And you might know friends that have went out drinking and drank too much and did something they regret. Well, why not stop drinking altogether? If you just turn your back on it, then you don't have to worry about making a mistake while under the influence. You don't have to worry about, I think I had not too many drinks, so I'm just going to go ahead and drive home, and then you get a DWI because you didn't know. So you have to be accepting of what you can be, and you need to let go of this life that we're living right now. Because the life we're living right now is temporary. It's gone like nothing. You probably noticed that after you get out of high school and you start working a job and you're working 40, 70 hours a week, and time just flies on by. Next thing you know, your friend that says, I'll find God when I'm 50 or 60. Next thing you know, it feels like a couple weeks later and you're 50, 60. You're already 30. I'll find God when I'm 70. Why wait? Why wait? You're stopping yourself from living a better life because you can live better right now, but you just want to squander it doing what you want to do, thinking that you'll have this time. But tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. You know, I've had friends that, hey, I was just talking to them 10 minutes ago, and then I hear someone call me and they got hit by a truck. Or my mother, just a couple weeks ago, I just got off the phone with her and she had to work, and she called me back an hour later and said she almost got run over by a semi, had a double blowout on the back, and the semi was swerving all over the road trying to regain control of the semi. And if God had not been with her in that moment and protected her from all the debris that was hitting her windshield, because there was hard parts of the tire going 75 miles an hour hitting her car and denting it up. If the wrong piece went through the windshield, that could have been the end of it. And she testified to me that in that moment she prayed to God for forgiveness. That she wanted to turn her life around and start thinking more about other people than being selfish and thinking of only herself and her own joy. So, for something like that to even come out of my mom's mouth is a big deal for me. Because I know how much God has changed my life. But we also have to grow in wisdom. And wisdom doesn't come over reading one Bible verse. It doesn't come from one learning instance. We got to continue to learn and grow and make mistakes, because if you're not making mistakes, you're not putting yourself out there to learn anything. And I've made more than my share of mistakes trying to learn. If you listen to any people that work with me, they know that no matter how many times I mess up, I'm going to keep trying to do better. I'm going to try and learn from it. I might make the same mistake twice, but I'm going to grow from it. So that's how our mindset has to be. Take things as I come, live moment by moment, day by day. You try to make 5-year plans, and 5 years from now is not guaranteed. And so we have to be careful what we take in and we think is wisdom. Because the world's wisdom is a lot different than God's wisdom. So let's pick back up on 15. Do you know the saying, drink from your own rain barrel, draw waters from your own spring-fed well? It's true. Otherwise, you may one day come home and find your barrel empty and your well polluted. Your spring water is for you and you only. Do not to be passed around among strangers. Bless your flesh, flowing fountain. Enjoy your wife. You're married as a young man, lovely as an angel, beautiful as a rose. Don't ever quit taking delight in her body. Never take her love for granted. Why would you trade enduring intimacies for cheap thrills with a whore, for dalliance with a promiscuous stranger? Mark well that God doesn't miss a move you make. He's aware of every step you take. The shadow of your sin will overtake you. You'll find yourself stumbling all over yourself in the dark. Death is the reward of an undisciplined life. Your foolish decisions will trap you in a dead end. So, it says, drink from your own well. You have to be faithful to what you're doing and love God the way He loves you and love your wife. And something that we all deal with a lot lately is difficulty living with another person. I know I'm the funnest person to live with. I don't have any annoying habits. Right? I don't do anything that gets on anybody's nerves. No. But we do have our flaws, and living with someone else and their flaws is hard. But you get something more by staying faithful to one person. And that's something a lot of this generation that we're living in doesn't understand. The partying, the dating whoever, people think it's something to brag about, to be with a large number of people, and it's not. Because all them people you have no relationship with, and it's, same with God. You can only have so much room for everything in your life and have time for God. But it's not supposed to be, that's getting the horse in front of the carriage. You need to put God as your priority, then make room for other things. And if you don't have room for the other things, well, too bad. Because God's the most important. And you notice as you're longer in a relationship, other things start to matter less. Going out and partying with your buddies, going fishing all the time, it matters less and less. Unless you find a woman that likes to fish just as much as you do, then you found the right person. But sometimes we find who we need, and we need to stick with them. And the longer you stay with them, the more you build that relationship. And it's easy to say, oh, well, I don't like my wife or my girlfriend anymore. She's getting on my nerves, and maybe I'm getting on her nerves, and all we do is fight. But I challenge you with this. Try and look at the other person's point of view. Think of from their perspective. What am I doing that's causing this, and how can we fix it? Is there anything that I can do that actually makes it? And then pray about it, because we are nothing without God. And without God in our relationships, our friendships, without God in our marriages, things are a lot harder. Because in the world's way of thinking, there is no reason you should forgive anybody for anything. It's unnatural for us to think that forgiveness should be the first thing on our minds, even though we're the ones in pain, or we feel like we're the ones in pain. And that's where feelings get in the way of things, because you might feel like you're the one in pain when you're the one causing the damage. But having God in your marriage, in your life, in your friendships, that means forgiveness is not as unnatural to you, because you understand what God had to overcome and do for us to be forgiven. Think of all the things that you've done added up over time. And when I was saved, I had a flash of everything I'd done wrong and where God was with me all the way, and how when I thought I wouldn't make it, I would. But staying faithful is the key to happiness, because everything else is fruitless. Whenever you go out into the world and you choose something over God, that closes a door. It makes it to where God can't act in that situation, because you're not asking for Him in that situation, because you're not making room for Him in that situation. So putting anything before God stops blessings. It stops Him at the door. And you can't do that, because the blessings that He has for us are everlasting. And what we have here on this earth only lasts as long as we're alive. We're not going to be able to take it with us when we go. And so it makes sense to live my life in the moment. Moment to moment, minute to minute, day to day. Because we make hundreds of thousands of decisions every day. And they reflect on who owns our heart, the devil or God. So every decision is like a battle and an ongoing war that we're in right now, fighting for our salvation. And what our heart is filled with, where we sleep at night, with God and righteousness and honesty, and those are values, but those are things that come with God. They become easier with God to hold on to your values. But are you doing that, or are you out doing drugs and living the fun life, living in the world, worrying about how many possessions you can acquire, worrying about how far you can make it up the totem pole to make more money than everybody else? How much storage can you have? How big of a truck you got? Who's got the biggest tires? Worrying about all that stuff, it doesn't do you anything in the end. It's temporary. It's, that truck could be gone in a tornado, just like, so many poor people in Jeff City, and all the tornadoes and the earthquakes and the floods that have been happening lately. All these people are getting a snap of what's to come. Everything is temporary. So someone who's been through fires and floods is going to have an understanding of how easy it is to lose everything. How easy it is to think that truck that you thought meant the world, or that house that you thought was everything, could instantly not exist in a moment. So where are you storing your heart right now? Where are you leading yourself right now? Who are you looking at in the mirror every night? Are you who you want to be? Are you following God and living a righteous life and growing spiritually into who you think you ought to be? Or are you partying and wasting your time with fruitless efforts? Acquire wisdom. Wisdom is what's going to keep you going. Learn from your situations. Try to keep going. every situation you come in. Pray, because the moment that you stop praying about all of your situations, about every step you take, you're not letting God be in control. When He's not in control, you're allowing the chance for the devil to be in control. And that's not where I want to be, and I hope that's where you don't want to be either. So, I'd like to end with prayer. Lord God, thank you for everything that you have done for us. Please guide our footsteps to be on the path that you want them to be. Please lead us where you want us to go. And please protect us and our hearts from the devil that wants to come into our lives. Let us bear your fruit and grow in strength and honor and integrity, and give us the strength to help those who can't help themselves, and give us rest when we need it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.